Many creators on this platform, even smaller ones like me, get offers thrown at them at a consistent rate. The bigger you are, the more you get, of course. One of these offers I got was for this device here, the SlingTV Box S5 MAX. This is one of these Android TV boxes that boast about giving you access to all kinds of media with no additional upcharge. 15,000 TV channels, even some naughty ones, ooh la la, and a VOD library trumping Netflix, Amazon, Apple, etc. combined. And all of that for the price of $299? Oh boy, what a steal. Of course I can end here and that would be it, but let's get a bit deeper into this rabbit hole and both test the box and talk about a few things. First, I want to mention that there will be a lack of footage, since the box stopped working. I might have messed something up myself, so I will not credit this fault to the box itself. First of all, what do you get in the box and what do you get in the box? In the box, you get the device itself, a remote, batteries not included, a Cat 6A Ethernet cable, a USB 2.0 A to C cable, a power brick, an HDMI cable, and a manual. As for what the box offers itself, it has 128 GB of internal storage, 4 GB of RAM, uses the all-winner H618 processor, which is together with the H616 quite common on these devices. Then the ports are one USB-C for power only, 2 USB-A, a microSD card slot, one Ethernet, one HDMI, and a headphone jack. When it comes to the claims, then I can report that these are true, but come with a big asterisk. Before I was able to verify these, however, I needed to factory reset the box 3 times until everything worked correctly. As for the claim of the 4K, the all-winner H618 that is in this device can, according to the spec, handle output up to 4K 60, encode up to 4K 25, and decode up to 4K 30. With H.265, it supposedly can also decode at 8K 24. Sadly, I did not do this test while the box was working, so I cannot 100% confirm that this is true. On paper, this box should be able to do it. In practice, I don't know, so I'm very sorry for that one. When it comes to the actual content, then I can confirm that the regular TV does show a huge list, which you can also find on their website. What I didn't notice, however, while scrolling through, is that regularly enough, you will encounter channels that are currently not available. I would guess that this is because the way that they acquire these channels in the first place. They either get locked out or something else is blocking them at the moment. Also, something that I did notice is that some channels are clearly of lower quality than others, especially when it comes to the actual bitrate, rather than the resolution. All of this is paralleled when it comes to the adult content as well. I was not aware at first that this would exist, and I didn't see it mentioned anywhere. But it's here. It's a bit strange to access, as it wants you to share a link to the box where 2 people have to click on it first, but I got around that easily enough. Then on the other side, we have the advertised VOD content. And this is a real clusterfuck. You have a nice looking app which can be used to find all kinds of movies and TV shows. But when you actually go and watch them, it becomes a bit strange. What I think is happening here is that there's a list of pirate streaming websites that they access, which you can then choose from, and the app acts more like a front end rather than a back end. What this leads to is that you can get one stream where the quality is absolutely ass, and then another one where the quality is good, but it has hard subs in a random language. Also, when it comes to the actual content you can access, it essentially boils down to how popular it is. Something like Better Call Saul was no problem to watch, but more obscure shows like Aria or Lane present themselves as available until you actually try to play them. All in all, the claims seem to be real on a first look, but when you dig deeper, you'll see that there's an asterisk behind each and every one of them. Next, I will get to the performance, and it is what you would expect from a device like this. Geekbench 5 gives a 109 for single core and 388 for multi-core. This is on the low end, and most modern smartphones would beat this without a problem. The same with 3D Mark Slingshot, which had an overall score of 421. This certainly is not going to be a gaming console on top of a TV box. I tested some emulation, and I was able to go up to an N64 and PS1, and that ran pretty good, but everything above is not playable. In the end, this device is really only meant for video content. I also tried to dig a little bit deeper to see what is inside the box. Thankfully, you only have to undo 4 screws to get inside. No clips, no glue, just like God intended. The first thing I noticed, however, is that the board shows some minor corrosion, and what is either leftover flux or water damage. I also noticed that there's a UART port, but I couldn't get a connection going. The CPU is covered by this heatsink, which is attached with some form of thermal epoxy, and I didn't bother to take it off until it stopped working, in fear of actually damaging it. But I guess I managed to do that somehow anyways. Next up, I'm getting to a big problem that these boxes can have. First of all, I want to state that I hate copyright with a passion. It is a bastardized law, which was in a way noble, but has been twisted by corporations into a monster that hinders progress and creativity, also that some sea-suit can buy another boat for a weekend trip to visit their friend Little St. James. My stance is also that ownership should be in tandem with copyright, so lifespan of the creator plus 90 years, and not when some company feels like it no longer belongs to the customer. I say this because I did see a bunch of comments on other videos claiming people were bought out by cable companies if they were not 100% positive of this box. With that clarified, let's get to the big problem that these kinds of boxes have. Legality of the content aside, they have the proclivity to either already have malware installed or having the ability to install it later on by getting it from a server. Or they also take your user data, such as your login credentials when logging into YouTube as an example, and sending it back home. The S5 MAX showed some suspicious behavior since it tried to constantly contact a weird site in China. Now it could just be where they host the content, but I found even outside of the apps, it would try to contact the sites in 10-second intervals until it gave up at some point. I wasn't able to look at the content of the requests though, so I'm not sure what it tried to ask. I then also extracted the apps and file system and couldn't find anything too suspicious with my basic knowledge of Android. But I did scan most of the apps with VirusTotal and found that a good chunk of them seem to have Android Risk Aware Test Key RB and Add Library GenerRisk. The first one is often a false flag and doesn't mean much, and the later is just as it says adware. So at the very least, there are some ads built into the apps themselves. Something that many of these boxes have is the core Java folder, which has become notorious, and its presence is a huge red flag. In the case of the S5 MAX, I was not able to find it though, so that is good. I did dig around a little bit more and found a folder with 2-3 screenshots, which is a bit weird, but I might have made them myself by accident. All in all, I really didn't find anything, but at the same time, I really just don't trust this device. Just as I don't trust other content creators. Now, I might get some backlash for this. I believe it is not wrong for any content creator to take deals where they get a product or even money. Especially when you do reviews, it can hit your wallet hard. What I do believe, however, is wrong is when it's done in a careless and malicious way, even if it's not intended. When I get offers, I always first check what others are saying, and in cases like with this box, I'm often disappointed. It is clear to me that they put no thought into it, and are happily promoting whatever as long as they get something for free. Especially in cases like this, it is impertinent to know what you are buying into, and it's frankly a disgrace to just parrot the talking points and say how great the product is, even if it can expose the viewer that puts their trust in you to more than just a bad purchase. I agreed to do a review specifically to point this out. From here on out, however, I will no longer take offers for products like this one that might harm my viewers, and only agree to ones I can get behind and that let me say what I want. I will also communicate awareness of which products are being peddled. If I get an offer, no matter if I take it or not, you will be able to find out through my community posts. This way you know when I and other content creators try to sell you something. With all of that being said, what is my conclusion of the SlingTV S5 MAX? I personally would not recommend it. At the price point it is being sold at, and with the potential risk it possesses, it is just not worth it for me. Sure, it sounds good, and if you're someone who watches TV, you might find value in this device. The potential trade-offs are, however, a deterrent, and I think there are better and cheaper and safer ways to get all kinds of contents without fees. I do, however, also know that many people who watch reviews like this have already made up their mind and just want someone to confirm their beliefs. All I can do is spread awareness and hope that I get through to someone. But if you watched this video and bought it, then let me know in the comments. And that is it. I'm sorry for doing something so stupid like this, but I wanted to spread some awareness, and I hope you can forgive me for that.